The demise of all commercial fish at current rate by 2048. Here's industry propaganda to encourage this, and 5 anchovy species death count to begin to explain Dr. Frues's epic calculation. By the way, if you don't believe in fish pain, see the Cambridge Declaration 2012. A decade later, only 2018 records show the latest global catch statistics. Top of the list are 7 million metric tons of Peruvian anchovetas, who translate into 704 billion deaths. Highlighted in blue by their scientific name, Engraulis ringens, the final column shows the latest annual catch, never including thrown away fish called bycatch, illegal catches, or those trapped in broken nets that in turn compose 47% of global plastic ocean pollution. The UN's FAO compilation draw together the economically, not ecologically biased global data. Due to the greed of fishing, the penultimate are exploited as juveniles. Argentine and Californian varieties have not made the FAO 2018 selected list, so the Malawi bridging species replaces one type. Usipa, Engraulis cypris sardella, also 10-gram mass, create 100,000 in 1 metric ton. Then multiply by the latest catch tonnage to find 15.7 billion killed. Although they are caught from 4.5 centimeter length, we have no current choice but to take the common size attribute. We have all but lost the mega-size, fully grown versions of the same species. Engraulis encrasicolus, European anchovy, had 17.4 billion deaths. South African anchovy Engraulis carpensis bait balling when under attack has had hundreds of scientific length measurements, but no mass is described. From the mass chart, every centimeter growth makes a big favor for the fishing industry. Here, a 50% mass increase, so just 16.8 billion killed. Last but not least, assuming a sumo-sized 30-gram mass, Engraulis japonicus, the Japanese anchovy with 31.9 billion deaths, a subtotal for the first small 5, 769 billion. In ascending order of tonnage, the first Sardinella has been punished 5 to 6-fold lately for being only a near-threatened species since February 2012. Lemuru, or Bali Sardinella, has a pinpointed weight of 26 grams, equating to 11 billion deaths. 85% of them contain 3 pieces of microplastic. Bon appetit. This baby Sardinella aurita, or round sardine, is just a baby in comparison to the adults that were once frequent. Their average 16 centimeters equates to just 34 grams, therefore also 11 billion killed. Studied a whole decade ago, Sardinella longiceps, or Indian oil sardine, only had 60% chance to contain microplastics, but 100 times less chance of tumors. Bon appetit. Some mean mass from 134 specimens are almost half too light when comparing world catches, so only 10 billion suffered. Synonyms and 3 subspecies murky the research, but not as murky as the corruption you can read here about Sardinops melanosticus, or Segax pilchard. Sometimes length data needs great lengths. 14.5 centimeters means 38-gram mass and 21 billion deaths. Last but not least, almost 1,100 European pilchard were measured in this study, almost exactly like the 1,300 measured here, but with slightly less accuracy on the standard deviation leeway. So using 13.9 centimeters, we get the return of the microplastic study, whereby 96% of the 76 billion killed Sardina pilchardus have plastic in their stomach, up to 8.5 millimeters long, and to a lesser extent, even in their edible flesh and skin. Bon appetit. The current 5 species of sardine tally of 129 billion deaths. Combined with episode 1, we have a subtotal of 989 billion deaths. Engrauline anchovies have been described in part 1. Now we continue with Clupeidae in the form of herring. Clupea harengus, or Atlantic herring, is as usual nowhere near the so-called common catch size one finds on biased databases. Females almost, but most catchers are younger than 7 years old, a spiraling downward trend as warned by Dr. Frues 2000. So using 16.5 centimeter length, they weigh 34 grams, a fraction of their potential. Clupea palaceae, or Pacific herring, despite the picture, after 2.5 hours I could only access 14 samples, as thousands to hundreds of thousands were paywalled. So we'll have to stick to 25 centimeters, the heaviest fish yet, almost 150 grams, equating to 3.1 billion deaths, just a little bit more than annual land bovine deaths. Strangomera bentinki, or Orosanian herring, is only Chilean, therefore called a common sardine. At 11 centimeters, they weigh 11 grams, equating to 31.4 billion killed. The fourth herring, Pistonema lebartate, or Pacific thread herring, measured from 7 groups of catches, comes to exactly 16 centimeters, verifying the fixed weight of 45 grams, equating to 7.2 billion killed. If those fish were human-sized and dumped into the Grand Canyon, they'd look like this. The entire world population in 2013, by the way. The 4 herring subtotal, just 95 billion, a decimal of 1,008 billion accrued from the previous 10 species. However, meet wildcard Antarctic krill, Euphausia superba, FAO listed directly below the catch weight of the latest herring. As a keystone species, overfishing their numbers, once 1.5 trillion deaths, even stopped salmon spawning in 1984, because who would give birth to a child into a world with no food? Krill baited, tinned, and so-called vitaminized. Thus ends Part 3's 5-species subtotal of 1,009.6 billion killed. In other words, so far a 15-species toll of 2,017.6 billion. Tenualosa elisha, or Hilsa shad, the national fish of Bangladesh, is 100% microplastic contaminated, adding some interesting ingredients to consumers. Bon appetit. 36 centimeters equates to over half a kilo, so the first species so far to have less than 1 billion killed. Ethmalosa fimbriata, or bongo shad, differs greatly in size around the world. Accessible weight stats were from Senegal. 319 measurements from 5 localities resulted in 12 centimeters. 23 grams means 5.9 billion bongo shads killed. What is evident is that the purut bongo fish are fed to Chinese pigs, that carcinogenic polycyclic aromatic compounds in the majority of Nigerian dried fish exceed the EU limit by 140 times. But wait, there's more. Laced with Valium and paracetamol, all these microbes could be yours: E. coli, salmonella, staph, and cholera. For acute gastroenteritis, bloody diarrhea, and death. Bon appetit. Brevortia patronus, or Gulf menhaden, is the second keystone species mentioned so far, the Antarctic krill. Once overfished, the supporting ecosystem adjusts with shocking consequence. The source for the neurotoxin, domoic acid, bon appetit, at 20 centimeters being 124 grams, resulting in 4.2 billion killed. Brevortia tyrannus, or Atlantic menhaden, prone to ulcerative disease, deformed spines, and from this table, the most plastic-contaminated fish. Bon appetit. From 914 measurements, 22 centimeter length and 159 grams in 2003, resulting in 1.2 billion tyrannus killed. Last but not least, Spratus, one of the 21 fish that Europe sell as a sardine. They fart 70 times per day, almost as much as me. It's the second fish covered so far that has had reports of containing Cicatera food poisoning toxin, see Japanese anchovy. When studying 13 sprat parasites from 5 world localities, an average of 9.24 centimeter length from 165 measured equates to the smallest fish being described here so far, 6.24 grams. That's 75.6 billion killed. The tally of 5 species being 98 billion. 5 of the 7 true mackerels in the Scombrini tribe, a type of Perciform. Chub mackerel is first up. So descending from the latest FAO tonnage, Scomber japonicus, or chub mackerel, at 18 centimeters from 2,700 measurements last year, give a weight of 54 grams each and 29 billion killed. Scomber scombros, or Atlantic mackerel, at 29.5 centimeters from 3 surveys over 20 years and a scientific catch last month, they are often 209 grams due to nurturing eggs, so register as 5 billion killed. Scombacolias, or Atlantic chub mackerel, at 34 centimeters from 460 samples, is 348 grams, so 1.5 billion killed. Rastrellega brachysoma, our 4th true mackerel, is 17 centimeters and 75 grams. By tracking down the same study, 6.4 billion are killed. Rastrellega canagorda, our final true mackerel, from 254 measured, 25.7 centimeters, gives a weight of 198 grams, so 3 billion killed. Subtotaling the true mackerels here with 45 billion deaths. Not a true mackerel, Scomberomerus commersum, part of 21 Scomberini, a cousin tribe, shows parasitic cysts. Although labeled harmless, this narrow-barred Spanish mackerel is harmful to human health. The 3rd species covered here to reportedly contain Cicatera toxin. a near-threatened species due to its ability to weigh 70 kilograms. From near 3,000 measured in 2012, the predominant fork length was 35 centimeters, so 315 grams means 0.89 billion killed. Trachorus morphii, being overfished, juvenesces. They are part of the mackerel-like family, Carangidae, as are two more to follow. Being a 26 centimeter and 172 gram Chilean jack mackerel, they lead to a sum of 3.1 billion killed. Trachorus capensis, or Cape Horse mackerel, has no live picture available. No weight available except a length of 28 centimeters. No length to weight calculation available unless the length is calculations with other genii. 188 grams means 2 billion killed. Trachorus japonicus, or Japanese jack or horse mackerel, is the last of FAO's mackerel-like catch. Despite last year's in situ measurements being 27.7 centimeters and lower weight, the following heavier mass reflects 2016 Japanese catch lengths. 263 grams mean 0.7 billion killed, or the four mackerel relatives under 7 billion, or today's 9 totaling 51.7 billion. But after 3 Trachori, meet wildcard Trachypenaeus curvirostris, averaging under 8 centimeters and weighing 3 grams. Called southern ruff, or cocktail, or hardback shrimp, 82.7 billion deaths, meaning today's 10 species tall came to 134.5 billion. The Dosidicus gigas, or Humboldt squid, is a cephalopod with 37 centimeter mantle length when 230 days old. Some hauls are even smaller, but this side of the millennium, using 6,500 grams average from 58 centimeter mantle, probably the heaviest in this list, means 137 million killed. Portunus trituberculatus, using 60 grams for 10 centimeters carapace over 10,000 measured, they unsustainably tally at 8.2 billion Gazame crabs killed. Asites japonicus, females versus males, for 3 Malaysian localities are 17.5 millimeters. Females are 22.5 milligrams, males are 14.85 milligrams. So in average grams, that's 0.018825. So 2 trillion and 330 billion killed. Patinopecten yesoensis is another small creature without a neocortex. It has a ganglion nervous system, so they feel pain, are still the animal kingdom, and by no means are they so-called fruit of the sea. They have their very own name, yesotoxin, that causes human liver cells to self-destruct. Bon appetit. As they can vary between thumb-sized and palm-sized 3 to 8 centimeters. And adding their 52% shell weight to the body weight is 1.672 grams and 189 billion killed. Homarus americanus by 1995 struggled to land the legal weight of 500 grams. Leeway was 450 grams and land-grown version allowed at quarter of a kilo. In 2015, the sea catch minimum was reduced to just 200 grams. In many localities, catching egg-bearing or known notched females are illegal. Using 9 centimeters and 655 grams means 1/4 billion killed. Today's 5 species accrue 2 trillion, 527 billion. Placopecten magellanicus, between USA 15 centimeter and Canada's 17 centimeter, 15.82 centimeter is average. But whether finding the weight of soft tissue plus muscle, 1.43 grams body but without shell, gonads or empty digestive tissue, paywalls or log weights, there is sometimes a need for a child to place his shell on a balance to get the simple dart that is needed. Meanwhile, give up. Take the maximum 18-gram dry weight, times 5% to dry body weight to convert to wet weight. So 18.11 grams, that's 15.1 billion American sea scallop killed. Pleoticus muelleri, or Argentine red shrimp, 2.7 centimeter carapace, average between genders. At 5 months, they are all 1.7 grams, so must be mostly caught at this size, judging by the aforesaid cocktail shrimp at 3 grams but 7.8 centimeters. Despite the 13-gram outliers selected for market, nevertheless, split the difference between Brazil and Japan is 7.3 grams, which is understandable versus the fish space average, so 35 billion killed. Penaeus monodon, assuming that a cultured harvest reflected the market satisfaction, akin to wild catches, then 19.5 centimeter length, notably almost 6 centimeter carapace and abdominal length, weighs 19.5 grams, so 11.6 billion giant tiger prawn or black tiger shrimp killed. Penaeus chinensis has a given carapace and body length, assuming a steady harvest of 15 centimeters. The average 17 grams, so 13 billion fleshy prawn killed. Bandalus borealis at 11 centimeters and 4 years old. That's according to Fish Magazine, however. The database assigns just 4.3 centimeter total length. 285 measured came to 5.36 grams or 32.3 billion. Northern prawn killed. Tally of 107 billion killed and cumulative 40 species. Thanos albocetes, one of the three in the yellowfin group, has a mean length of 16 centimeters, when 32 were scientifically caught. That's 76 grams and 20.8 billion yellowfin tuna killed. Since 2004, FDA warned pregnant not to eat tuna or any large and old predator fish. Bon appetit. Thanos tongol, also a yellowfin group member, using 75 centimeter fork length, is 4.7 kilos, being 45.5 million long-tailed tuna killed. Thanos obesus, a true tuna of the bluefin group, was added to the vulnerable list just last year, and thus vulnerable to go extinct. Bon appetit. As an unknown number of juveniles are caught from 16.5 centimeters in corrupt Philippines, lamented Lewis, and at vulnerable status, taking the lowest bell curve still weighs the heaviest so far. 88 centimeters gives 12.7 kilograms, just 79 per ton, being 45 million long-tailed tunas killed. The second true bluefin tuna, Thanos alalunga, 97 centimeter length over 3 countries, is 12.4 kilos, being 18.2 albacore million killed. A horrifying baby eaten as juveniles in the Davao Gulf and Western Atlantic, all unrecorded in the German database, yet recorded in the Swedish database as low as 28.3 centimeter mean length. Also reported for cicatera poisoning. Bon appetit. A weight of 400 grams is 8 billion killed, totaling tuna toll of 28.9 billion, and the 45th species. Clickbot. Euthymus affinis, also a source of cicatera poisoning. Bon appetit. At 46 centimeters, they weigh 1.4 kilograms, so a quarter of a billion killed. Colulabisaira, of 30 centimeters, is a weight of 112 grams, so 3.3 billion killed. Cadus macrocephalus is caught from 10 centimeters to 106. At 45 centimeters from holes, 1 kilogram each is 407 million killed. Cadus morhua, a vulnerable species since 1996, is caught from 3.5 centimeters to 126 and a half. Captain Cod's fish fingers had to change its name to Captain Birdseye. 60 centimeter length means over 2 kilogram weight, or over 500 million Atlantic cod killed. The final fish has had a name change from Theragra to Gadus calcocramos, who are caught from 8 to 82 centimeters historically. Contemporarily, at 45 centimeters, is 633 grams and 5.4 billion Alaska pollock killed, subtotaling today's 10 billion. Olachius virens, caught at 11 centimeters to 11 times more, unless minimum legal size is enforced. Then 61 centimeters is achieved. 2 kilograms means 137 million saithe or pollock killed. Melanogrammus aigelfinus, vulnerable since 1996, at 23 centimeters, half the time still juvenile, is 102 centimeters, 3 billion haddock killed. Oncorhynchus gorbusha, like the birthmark of their former president, at 48.5 centimeters comes to a weight of 2.7 kilos. That's 215 million pink humpbacked salmon killed. Oncorhynchus nerca, at 58 centimeters, is 2.2 kilograms, having to add genus to the calculation, but fitting with the source range is 76 million sockeye red salmon killed. Oncorhynchus keta, at 65 centimeters, also caught larger than the database, describes 3 kilograms, and again needing to calculate with the wider genus, meaning 80 million chum, keta, or dog salmon killed, totaling 3.6 billion killed. The 55th species, Micromecistius putasu, at 23 centimeters, from Fernandez 2000, comes to 73 grams, so 23.5 billion blue whiting killed. Trichiurus lepturus, with other names like cutlass or ribbonfish, being 63 centimeters when measuring their mercury content, bon appetit, are 203 grams, so 5.6 billion large hairtail killed. The spawning fish Malotus villosus, at 13 centimeters, has a sighted fishing weight median of 14.5 grams, so 36 billion capelin killed. Merlutius productus, by the following graphs, is 58 centimeters over male and female, that's over 1.2 kilos, so 1/3 of a billion North Pacific hake killed. Merlutius hoopsi, in a Cambridge paper, averaged 28 centimeter length, 160 grams, so 2.3 billion Argentine hake killed. Murayanasux cinereus, mostly at 61.5 centimeters and 4 years old, weighs 620 grams, so 500 million daggertooth or moray conger eel killed. Larymictis polyactis at 11.5 centimeters, from the only area where their eggs have been found, weigh 30 grams, so 10.2 billion yellow croaker killed. The 62nd species presented, concluding 78.6 billion, managing to toll over the 5 trillion mark for deaths. Ilex argentinus, thousands measured, with a 20 centimeter mantle length, is 175 grams, so 1.7 billion Argentine shortfin squid killed. Portunus pelagicus, or flower crab, with 5.1 centimeter carapace length, so 133 grams, therefore 2.25 billion blue swimming crab killed. Rastreniobola argentea, a tiny fish, less than 9 grams, has a length of 4.6 centimeters, has no other genii listed, so with the available family calculation, the cyprinid weighs 0.89 grams, so 301 billion killed. Oreochromis niloticus, a potential pest, a threat to humans apparently. At 14 centimeter male plus female, over many lakes, are a heavier 60 grams, is 4.4 billion Nile tilapia killed. Celar crumenophthalmus, another Ciguatera threat, to humans has a length of 17 centimeters, resulting in a weight of 74 grams, so 2.9 billion big eye scat killed. Lates niloticus is another alleged potential pest as a threat. 4,600 lake samples are 63 centimeters, that's 2.7 kilograms, so 78 billion Nile perch killed. Harpedon nereus from 1,000 measurements, 16 centimeter length and near threatened to extinction, weighs 22 grams, so 9 billion Bombay duck killed. Decapterus russelli from 13.3 thousand measurements, being 17 centimeters, comes to a weight of 50 grams, so 3.5 billion Indian scat killed. Thus 325.2 billion killed. It's the end of the 2018 list. But it's not the end of known species killed. See how many of the 11 species can be counted below the apparently irrelevant 150,000 ton threshold. These species were abundant in 2014, but not in 2018. Let's investigate.